Hi, everyone. This is Tammy with VA to VA Mastermind Live, and we have Lisa with us. Nanette, unfortunately, couldn't join us today, but we're excited to bring a topic to you that I think is important to everybody. We're going to talk about ways of attracting new clients in new ways and new ways to negotiate, as well as new ways to close the deals. So I think this can apply to everybody, not just virtual assistants. I think every business owner this could use it, and not just about teams either today. So I am Tammy with Tammy's Office Solutions, and we're out of Richmond, Virginia, but we serve all over the US and Canada, and we do digital marketing, virtual assistant services, as well as writing and bookkeeping services. Lisa, I'm going to hand it on over to you to introduce yourself, and then I know you're going to take away the first topic for us.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us, whether it is live or you're going to be watching the recorded version. I have to first apologize for the poor quality of my camera this morning. It's just not wanting to cooperate. But at any rate, we are glad that you are joining us, and Happy New Year. And I'm hoping that all of you have your goals written down and set up for this new year. And we want to help you with those goals by talking about new ways to negotiate with a client, new ways to find those clients first, and then new and different ways to close the deal. And if you have any questions or any comments that you want to make, we invite you to ask them and give us your feedback. I am Lisa Cole with Augusta Virtual Assistants. I am based in Augusta, Georgia, but we do serve clients all over the country. We specialize in real estate support, legal support, internet marketing support, and then we do help clients with general administrative support. So anyway, I'm going to start off by talking about new places to find your ideal client. Have you used social media keyword searches? I know we're all on social media looking for trigger words like, I'm stretched, I'm overwhelmed, I'm working too many hours, or we're asking our friends to share posts off of our Facebook pages or Twitter, retweeting our tweets and things like that. But have you tried a social media keyword search? And what I mean by that is using Twitter and tools like Hootsuite or TweetDeck. I'll get it in a second. You can set up searches for specific keywords, such as what your niche is. Let's say it's a web designer or WordPress developer, just for example. You can type in those types of keywords into Twitter and then check on it a few times a day. See what questions people have about your field of expertise or what discussions are going on about working with freelancers or VAs in your field. Chime in where you can, and always with a goal of being helpful, not salesy. Yesterday, I was in a real estate mastermind group that I was invited into by a real estate connection, not a client, but she is connected with me and felt like it would be of some value for me to be in this mastermind Facebook group. So I went in and saw where the panelists that started the group had a live video the day before. And so I turned that on and was listening to that. And while I was listening to it, I was scrolling down through the news feed to see what people were talking about, as far as this mastermind. Initially, they put the group together to have this company train teams. And of course, I own a team of virtual assistants and manage one, but this was specifically for realtors, but that's my target market. So I was just scrolling through to see what conversations were going on. And I found a conversation where someone had posted, how do you keep up with past clients? How do you follow up with them? And another agent posted underneath, commented and said that they use newsletters. So I decided I would chime in. And I said, well, I use newsletters and I also use send out cards to keep up with my past clients. Well, lo and behold, I had the original agent that posted the question ask me. She came right on and asked me, said, do you create those newsletters yourself or do you use a service? Well, that opened it up for me. And I replied to her, I said, I create them for my own virtual assistant company. And I will also create them for my realtor clients. Well, it got quiet and I knew what was happening. She went to my profile. She clicked on my profile, saw my business on my Facebook profile, probably clicked onto my Facebook page, and then from there went to my website. She sees that I am a virtual assistant and I work with realtors. I haven't heard from her, but that opened a door. During the video that I was listening to, the replay of the live video, these gentlemen in this mastermind group that are wanting to coach realtor teams were talking about get an assistant, get an assistant, get an assistant. You have to leverage. So I decided to comment in the thread of comments underneath that video. And I agreed with the gentleman. I said, I'm so glad that y'all are stressing that agents get an assistant. Someone had posted in the thread, if you don't have an assistant, you are one. I said, I totally agree with that. A realtor myself, I then began my own virtual assistant company to help realtors, because I saw the need. I haven't gotten any feedback, but it's out there. I'm not selling myself. I was commenting on an already ongoing conversation. Same thing with the agent. And that's what it's talking about here when you do a keyword search. Don't go in when you see a conversation about what you're looking for or your target market. Just engage in the same conversation and be helpful. And then once you find anyone who's tweeted looking for maybe a recommendation for a VA, then respond to them in a conversational way. Say something like, hey, I'm a virtual assistant. Maybe I can help. Or maybe I know someone who can. Another new way or Tammy, do you have any comments on that?
Well, I was just going to say, I think those were all great points. The TweetDeck I've heard of often, I've just never used it. So it's just simply a forum. Is that what it is with Twitter users?
I believe it's a form. TweetDeck is a form of scheduling tweets.
Ah, okay. So kind of like Hootsuite or Buffer, but it's specifically for Twitter.
For Twitter.
Oh. Wonderful, because that was something I've always heard about it and heard people speak of it, but I just wasn't familiar enough with it. So thank you for enlightening us in that. And I agree with you. We can't be salesy at all because people will see that right off the bat. But like your example, you just go in, talk like you would to anybody. And, as far as being helpful when people have questions. And that was a perfect example because just because they didn't say right then and there, hey, you want to handle mine, doesn't mean they're not going to remember your name and they probably wrote it down and going to call you maybe eventually when they're ready.
I wasn't going in to say or do anything. I was just checking it out. I was invited in. I decided to check it out. And I found an opportunity. Someone asked a question. And I answered that question, and she came back with another question. So that opened it up for me. And then, like I said, with the gentleman talking about get an assistant. Mm-hmm. It opened it up for me to say, I totally agree. And that's why I started my company. And I also had put in there that, when agents get an assistant, a lot of times they spend a lot of time training that assistant into their systems just for them to job in a few months, and they spend all that time, you know, for nothing really. And whereas, my company, we're already trained.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of learning curve. Now, every business, no matter what you're in, has particular ways of doing things. But it's not like you're hiring someone that's never really dealt with real estate transactions or lead generation or things like that. My team and I are trained for that already. So all we have to do is just dive in, tweak a few things, and we're ready to go. And we're here. This is what we do for a living. We're not, a college student looking for something part-time until we graduate, or,
So
you know what I'm
true.
saying? It's not a profession.
Yeah.
We are professionals. This is what we do, and we're going to be here. And even if you decide that some things are shifting and you don't need us for a short period of time, when you come back, we're still going to be here.
Right. You bring up a good point too, is that, we're an agency to help people. We're agencies basically to help people with different, we each have our different target markets and things like that, and our expertise. And I think part of obtaining new clients too is being confident in who you are and the skills that you offer, even if you're newer. But you still have skills and experience in things. And when people ask questions or prospects ask questions, being confident in what you know. And sometimes that just comes with the years of experience. Because I know in the beginning, I wasn't always that confident in presenting. I would try to be, of course, because I was knowledgeable, but working the way, this way 10 years ago was a new thing for many people. And so, you just have to be confident in what you present and make sure what you present you do know. Of course, don't pretend to know something you don't, and be honest. I mean, if you don't know a specific software, but you're willing to learn it, definitely tell them that. Be honest with them. I think most clients would rather you be honest than try to fake your way through something like that. Now,
Right.
software is easy enough to learn, but as far as skills and personality, sometimes that's not quite as easy. So I think, that kind of thing also plays an important factor. But confidence is huge, and I think we underplay that sometimes.
Exactly. I agree. Now, moving on, another new way, kind of new, kind of not, of finding your ideal client is using Facebook ads. Now, it has been blasted all over the internet that Facebook is not concentrating on these Facebook business pages anymore. They want you to pay for that exposure. And honestly, it's not a whole lot. You can reach a couple thousand people with $10. I mean, seriously, if you use the right keywords. You could use it over a week or have a larger budget for a month. But I really encourage you to use Facebook ads. I know as we are all just kind of winding down from a busy day, or just trying to catch up on social media, or on the weekends, just seeing what our friends and family are doing, we do see those occasional ads popping up. Some are interesting, some are not. But if we're going to be using social media to find our ideal client, it is imperative that we take advantage of Facebook ads and have a budget for that, even if it's ever so small. That's the only way you're going to really get people to your page and or website. So if you're like a website designer, we'll just use that niche again, and you usually work with marketing managers at large companies, or would like to, then you can create an ad and narrow that to those parameters. Let's say that let's just use website designer, and you want to get more exposure maybe within maybe 100 or 200 mile radius of where you're actually located. You can develop that Facebook ad for, those marketing managers in that area, or you could go across the country. It just depends on your budget and who you want to target. But that is a really good way to find clients and get exposure.
Yes.
You could also host an event.
Yes, not till later today because I'm on a live video. I told them to call afternoon.
Tammy, are you there?
Hold on a minute, please. Yes, I'm sorry, Lisa.
Okay. If you need to, you can mute. Okay. So you can host an event locally or via internet using a webinar. You can partner with another business owner or networking friend or even a client to have a lunch and learn or a client appreciation event. You can have the event centered on your target market. And like I said, you could also host a webinar that deals with things like time management, calendar blocking, or even the most effective ways to build your email list. General topics that are going to appeal to most any business owner that have a pain point of some sort. I mean, as business owners, we know we struggle with time management. Some business owners struggle with their calendar management more than others. But we can all use, tools in that area. And don't we all want to build our email list, whatever field we're in? I am planning on a live local lunch and learn event with a wardrobe stylist that I network with. Being a business-to-business type of setup, I want to get in front of business owners, realtors in particular, or attorneys, but business owners in general. If I partner with my wardrobe stylist, networking buddy, we're not really competing with each other. We can both work with the same business owners in a different way. She can come in and talk about the different ways of adding accessories or putting together things in your own wardrobe and then maybe adding pieces to it. And that's really engaging and interesting to find that you can take a particular skirt or pantsuit and dress it up to look completely different depending on, the place where you're at. And I could sit and talk about time management skills or, calendar blocking, and it's all business related. Then you go in together, if you partner with someone, and get everyone like a box lunch from, Subway or something like that. I think they're only like $8 a piece and have a limited seating if you have a limited budget of maybe no more than 15 people, things like that. That's a good way. And then you of course, blast, advertise, create an event and things like that. You can get your target market in the same room and give them value, give them lunch, add value to their schedules by talking about time management or how to dress appropriately for an interview or some special event of some sort with, my wardrobe stylist friend. It just gets your wheels turning on getting in front of your target market. Again, like I said, you can host a webinar with the same types of content and nobody has to show up to a particular venue. And no, you don't have to buy them a meal. But if you just create a free webinar that adds value to how they run their businesses, they're going to remember you when the time comes that they may need your services. And that goes into my next point, just be helpful. Don't let someone abuse your expertise by constantly asking for favors now. I mean, without so much as a gift card to a popular restaurant or helping them out. I'm not saying that. Don't go to the extremes because we've probably thought of someone who is constantly calling us or asking to meet up with us and picking our brain for our expertise, but doesn't want to pay for what we know. I'm not talking about that. I am talking about you maybe knowing a business owner or even another VA, and they need help with maybe putting their contracts together or connections to a good accountant, bookkeeper, just to help them get started up and on the right track. Or maybe just advice on effectively marketing their business, things like that. And if you give a little bit of your time, it'll always come back to reward you, because they will think about the fact that you did take the time to genuinely help you. And when they're in front of someone that they feel like could use your services, or maybe themselves, then they will refer you. What goes around does come around. And if you add value to somebody's life or business, and without them, abusing what you know, then it always comes back to reward you. So, key takeaways: get creative. Look for your ideal clients anywhere and everywhere that they might hang out. Be there. Be present wherever your target market appears. And you'd be surprised how many opportunities are out there. Don't forget the most important step: take action, reach out, engage, connect, and pitch. Do you have any thoughts on that, Tammy?
Sorry, had to unmute.
That's okay.
Sorry about that. I thought I was muted earlier. Forgive me for all that. But
That's
anyway, no, I agree with you totally. There are just so many unique ways, and everybody has their own way of, gaining clients and all of that. But we all need different ways of saying it too, and different ways of reaching those people. So it's important to hear all the different ways, that you're doing it, that I'm doing it, and even from our audience, if anybody's watching, or even later in the replay, give us some comments and tell us how you're doing it. I apologize that I don't have a video feed today. I forgot to mention that. My webcam, I don't know if it's the Windows 10 or what it is, just has decided not to work lately. So hopefully next time I'll have the camera back up. But in the meantime, you get to see.
So
what's that?
No, I'm just blurry today.
Well, and you're a little crackly all this, you start getting crackly for some reason. I thought, oh no. Us in our tech sometimes, right, Lisa?
Right.
So anyway, but yeah, no, I think, and I will share too that not long ago, and I probably shared this, but I did a webinar for SCORE, and it was wildly popular. I couldn't believe it, and have gained a lot of clients from it. I mean, for us, a lot, even just a few is really good, or a handful or more is excellent, of course. But, I've been very fortunate to get that opportunity. So even though I don't particularly think I'm a speaker, but I know I've been called to do that more. Sometimes against your will, you get moved into an area and you don't even realize it. But I know that that's something God's called me to do, so I'm excited for it. But it does make me nervous. So, but the more opportunities you get to be out in front of people and they see who you are, because it's about personal branding too, and that's hugely important this year for 2018 is personal branding. So remember, wherever you go and everywhere you are your brand. You represent your brand to everybody that you meet. So and I can't tell you how many ways that I have just, when somebody starts talking about something, I've been able to say, oh, well, I own a business that does blah, 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 and just be able to start that conversation with them, which is wonderful, and then give them a card, so you just never know when you're going to have the opportunity. And doing those webinars, live videos, post on YouTube, all of those things, and on Facebook. Facebook Live is really big, so make sure you do those. You just never know, where you're going to get the next client from. And the more you can be out there, the better. Now, we all don't have time to do every single one of those. So make sure, too, that you're using evergreen content, which means content that you can also reshare later that's still going to be relevant a year from now. So if you produce a 5-minute video or less, really, a lot of people want quick tutorial videos and things like that, unless you're doing a big webinar or doing like a mastermind live like we do. It really needs to be a couple minutes. So you just do a how-to or something out there and put it out there on your YouTube channel, and it can be evergreen that you share again, maybe a few months later or next year even. And you get enough of those and you really have some content to push out, as well as blogging. Missing Letter is a great program to use for your blogs, because what it does is it takes quotes out of them and it puts it out there for like a year of quotes. You approve them all, of course, and some of them you won't approve every single one, because they don't know the context of your blog always, but they're gonna take quotes out of that, put it on a background for you, even a plain color of whatever your colors are, and leads back to the blog for you. So if somebody likes the quote, wants to read more, it's really a great software, very inexpensive, and a great way to continue to get your content out there and keep feeding it to people. And so, the other things, were you finished with that particular part? I don't want to take over anything and mention anything else, that if you still have some things that you wanted to discuss, Lisa.
No, we can move on to the negotiations, new ways to negotiate.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to mention just a couple other things about attracting clients. And one of the ways that I've done also, and you may have mentioned this, maybe I missed it, but referrals, huge. So if somebody, if a colleague or a client refers you, that says a lot. And the person, most of us will ask for recommendations from people, for professionals. So definitely, and even once in a while, ask your clients, if you have an opening, put it out there in an email to your clients and just say, I have an opening in this area. Do you know any colleagues that may need our services? And I even offer like a 10% discount on their next billing should a new client come on from them. So like the invoice after that new client pays, I give my client a discount for referring them. So they save a little bit of money too. And that's a little bit of incentive for them even. So that's something also, and this is important even just in business, but not just for attracting clients, but even for continuing to have clients, and maintaining them, is to after they've been on with you for 3 to 6 months, send out a survey or even just an email and ask them for honest opinion. How are we doing? Tell us where we're doing good. Tell us where we could improve for you. And get that feedback from them. Also, in that email, maybe mention if there's some kind remarks or something, you may use it as testimonial on your website, because that's a huge thing. People want to know what other people say about you. And make sure, if they don't mind, that you link it back to them, because it has to be verifiable. You can't just put, oh, so-and-so said I was great. But if they can link it back to another page and see that person was a client, that makes, more sense for them, and it really helps. So reviews are really big. So not just client, doing it for that way, but also ask clients for reviews on Google and Yelp, and letters of recommendation, and just general testimonies that you can use. Like I've had some clients, newer clients recently, just write me and say, oh, I love the job you guys are doing, your team's awesome, things like that. And I'll say, well, can we use that? Can I put it out on social media? And they're like, absolutely, because I link it back to them as well, so it helps them too. But I appreciate it, my team appreciates it, and it helps other people to see what they're saying about my company. If somebody's thinking about it, it definitely helps. Now, I will tell you, you have to be careful with Yelp. They're very, very picky. You cannot link your own, like you can't put in an email, please go on Yelp with a link, because they can track that back, and they don't like that. So they're very picky. And also, if you don't have any reviews and it's all of a sudden one pops up, they find that suspicious for some reason. But for VAs, it's not like we have thousands of clients. So, and I've talked to them about that too, in fact. But so anyway, just be careful with that. But it is important to get out there. If you can get some Google reviews, that always looks good because it helps you with Google, as well as, everybody looks people up once they want to start doing business of any kind with you. So they're going to put your business name in and look it up and see what people are saying about you. So if at all possible, now in that instance, I think you can give them the link because sometimes that's a little harder to find, especially Google Plus and all of that can get mixed in. So just make sure they're at the right place to do that, and just ask current clients if possible, because once they leave, they don't have as much incentive to go on and do that for you. It just seems that they takes a lot longer to get it once they leave. So if at all possible, definitely get recommendations while they're still clients with you. And then directories is another one that I thought of, Lisa, because there's a lot of VA or virtual services directories out there that you can be listed with. Now that can be a cost involved, just like Facebook ads are huge, and that's an important thing now. Directories, a lot of people will go online and look under professional directories to find you. So sometimes it's worth, usually it's a minimal expense, maybe 10, 15 a month. And sometimes it's worth it. And sometimes they'll send RFPs to you by email if they get requests. So, you want to consider those things. There's also VA matchmakers. Some of them won't work with teams or owners of teams, because they want just individual VAs. But some of them do. And so consider that as well, that there's VA matchmakers out there. And then again, like Lisa said, with the in-person networking, I can't recommend eWomen Network enough. And they're global. It's a great group. It's fairly inexpensive. There is a price for lunches, of course, but I mean, it's like one price to join and then maybe 20 a month. But it's a global network. You can put your online profile on their directory and be found. So there's a lot of benefits and a lot of teaching involved because every month they have speakers that really help you with your business and teach you a lot of things. So, and I just, I love the group. I've been a member for a couple of years now and really like it. It took some time. And I will say too, in-person networking, any networking can take time, and it's all about relationships, right, Lisa? You have to, yeah, you have to build the relationships, whether it's online or in person, right? So, and it sometimes just takes time. So, and sometimes we get impatient with that. So it's hard, but it's worth it in the end when you build that relationship, because then you also know you're getting clients you enjoy and that you like to work with. And I'm really in a place in my business that I have that, and it's wonderful. Because I've also been at the opposite end of that spectrum before. I think we all have, and that's hard as well. So if we move on to new ways to negotiate, some of the things that I thought of when I thought about how I negotiate or how I talk with prospective clients if they're trying to negotiate, first of all, we just want to say, set your price and that's your price, okay? So don't let somebody haggle with you, because then they're looking for basement bargain deals. One of the things that happened with me several years ago was I put package pricing together after somebody didn't pay me. A considerable amount was due me when I was doing the hourly billing at the end of the month and stuff like that. And I said, well, this is done. I'm not doing this anymore because I was having to wait so long and all those things. So I put packages together. And I was very, very nervous about putting them up on my site. I thought, well, everybody can see it, competitors, whoever. Now, I will say, and I told this to somebody else recently, that in the VA world, it's more about collaboration than competition, which I love for most VAs. And so, to me, that's a huge thing about our industry that I love. But so it was a real barrier for me at first. Like, first of all, I didn't understand it in the beginning. I did a lot of research, took some webinars, things like that. And then once I came around to where I understood it better, then I put my packaging together and I decided to put it up. And what I found was very interesting. First of all, I attracted a higher end client. Second of all, those calls that I was getting all the time about, they wanted my work but only wanted to pay $10 or less an hour, just stopped. And so I no longer was getting those bargain calls, bargain hunter calls, which was wonderful. And so that was huge. And then the other thing about packaging that I think is important to know and to maybe consider is that, remember, when you put your packaging out there, the lowest rate that you're willing to take should be on that highest package, basically. So, because you're going to give them, the more you give them, the lower the rate, or the more they want to buy from you, I guess is a better way to put it. You want to give them the lowest rate possible because they're willing to, they want to move on with you and they want to get that many hours or whatever the package is, and they're willing to pay, for that many hours or social media package or whatever it is. So always consider doing that highest package at a little bit of a lower per hour rate, but make that even a little bit higher than what your minimum you would actually consider. And then the lowest package, or the least amount costing to them, say the starter package, is going to be your highest per hour rate usually, because they're only willing to take maybe 5-10 hours a month at that time, or can only afford it, but that's going to be your highest, so that there's basically incentive for them to get more hours with you. Once they know you, they might even do that. So definitely consider those things and how you package those. And when they come to you and want to say, well, will you take less than this and that, make sure you do not, those are your pricing and that is it. Okay. The only reason I give discounts anymore is if they're in my network group, okay, because I do that. Or as I said, they're a client and they have referred a colleague to me, then I give them a discount on the one invoice after they come on board. But, you have to stay firm in that, because people will really, do you find that, Lisa, that some people will try to haggle and really try to get you down in price?
Oh, I agree. I had that happen to me just a few months ago. I had a prospective client come through my contact form on my website, and he wasn't too far away, so we were able to meet face to face. And he, we did the needs assessment, and he listed out what he would be needing me to do for him. So I went back, drew up the contract. He was ready to do the contract and everything. He said he colleague that has a virtual assistant, and that they work really well together. And he saw that I was pretty local, and that appealed to him. So sent the contract, and now he did mention he had an idea of what he wanted to pay, but with the list of stuff he wanted, I developed a package and gave him a price for everything that he had listed. He wanted, and now see, I have a minimum. I have packages too, but as a VA, we all have our base rate that we develop our packages with. We have a base hourly rate. I have a base minimum of hours for my smallest package, and that's 20 hours a month. Boils down to an hour a day. And I really can't make any money for anything less than that, or even for my team.
Right.
So my minimum base hours is 20 a month. And already knowing that no one's going to find an in-office assistant that's going to drive to an office for an hour a day. I mean, so it's a bargain.
That's a great way to put it, Lisa. That's really a great way to put it, because I know a lot of people start out 5 hours a month and things like that, and they learn that you can't make money that way.
No,
right.
Well, he wanted to go below that, and I had, told him that my minimum package was basically, comprised of. He wanted to go below that, and I had to stand my ground and tell him that that's my minimum, So when he gets to a place where he can use me or my team for a minimum of 20 hours a month, then we will talk again. So yeah, you have to have your boundaries. I remember early on in my business, I was asked if me or any of my team would come in for a couple of days a week. And I said, no, we are virtual assistants. We work virtually. It just depends on how you want to run your business. I'll come in a couple hours a week. But I just decided early on that was a line in the sand I was not going to cross over. We work virtually. And I have a couple of local team members. So it probably would be possible, but I'm not asking my team to do that. And they didn't come on my team to go into the office. They have their own offices. So ways, different boundaries that you have to create when you're negotiating.
Absolutely. No, those are all good points. And it's interesting because you have to remember, as a team owner, team leader, don't ask your team to do anything you're not willing to do as well. And if you want to work virtually, you work virtually. And so, yeah, I think it is important to know that you're going to get those calls where they try to say, well, I need it down. That's not what I had in mind, and I need it lower than that, blah, blah, blah. And it's very tempting at times, especially if you have an opening or know you need a client for your budget. It's very tempting. But the thing that I have found very interesting also recently is, not recently, but in the last few years, is that when I say no to that client, just around the corner, a new one comes that is so much better and so willing to pay even more if they can't believe how inexpensive it is sometimes, when you have those higher end clients. Some will say, well, why are you so low? Right? That's rare, but some will. So yeah, so definitely stand your ground. And these are the rates, just like with anything. When you go to buy insurance, they don't bargain. They say this is the rate. So this is the rate you charge, and as long as it's reasonable within the realm, do your research too. Do your research, know what is out there and what most people are charging, so that it doesn't seem way out there, unless you have a certain expertise, that there's a reason you're charging that. Just remember that this is your business, just like Lisa said, and you run it the way you want to run it. So it's your business, and you can make up the terms of your business. So one thing that I wanted to say too is, if you're questioned about pricing or how high it is, like we've been discussing, just restate your experience, the years that you have in the business and the years of your team, the company, how many years you've been in business, and then just take a deep breath. Don't keep talking. Don't keep trying to convince them. Take a deep breath and wait. Wait for their response. Because first of all, after that, if they're not convinced, and really don't appreciate that, they're not a client for you. They're not, because they're always going to be questioning and wondering and all of that. Okay. And they're going to be probably nitpicky about things, to be honest. So if, however, their reply after that is, well, that makes sense, or I understand, and then they want to move forward. Okay. But you don't have to defend your experience and your expertise. And especially once you've proven that to other clients and have the referrals, have the testimonials and everything else. So, and just refer them back to that, say, on my site, this is our rates. And if you'd like to see testimonials, you can see them on Google, you can see them on my site, blah, blah, blah. And you'll see what other people say and why I charge them. So, don't just take a client because you need to pay the bills. Like I said, it usually works out that if you don't just grab at everyone that comes through the door, that if you stand your ground for the rates you need, you're going to work less for the amount of money you need, first of all, and can take on more usually, in the clients in the higher rates. And you're going to feel better about yourself. You're going to have more confidence, and you're going to feel better about that client because they appreciated it and appreciated the rate. So,
we both learned, I'm sure, that sometimes the money isn't worth it, even if it's
No.
a little bit. I mean, with someone who wants to haggle with you can come a lot of frustration and unneeded drama and things like that.
Absolutely.
I mean, like within the first year of my business, I had a gentleman call me and basically, honestly, try to rewrite my contract. I don't want this clause in it. I don't want that clause in it. And I finally, I will bend for certain people.
Right.
And I don't mean certain by name people. I'm saying if we are honestly trying to get to a meeting of the minds,
Yeah.
But this guy was not bending on his end. He wanted this, and this, and this way. And I finally just told him, I said, if you can't agree to the terms I have in my contract, and when you can, give me a call.
Right.
He never called
Absolutely.
back.
Absolutely. And you know what I found too is that when you do that, you stand your ground and you just talk with confidence in who you are and your abilities, like we were talking before, they can read that. And so they know, so either they appreciate that because they appreciate the expertise and the time it's taken to get you that far to be able to do that and appreciate that you can do what you say you can do, or they don't and they can walk away, and that's fine. It's okay to let them walk away. So maybe the best takeaways in negotiation is stand your ground and let them walk away sometimes, because when they you may even get them to come back, who knows, if that's the right client you even want to work with at that point. But you may be surprised, because sometimes they'll come back around and say, well, I tried 2 other people and it didn't work, or whatever, and then so they realize now that they need that expert, who's done it for a long time. So those are 2 of the biggest things that I would say is, continue to just reiterate your strengths, your team's strengths, your years of experience, as well as testimonials that you have in it, refer them to that, and then move on, whether it's with or without them, because there's another one around the corner, even though it may not seem like it at the moment, because we all have our peaks and valleys, but just trust in yourself. Trust in yourself and how it feels. Listen to your gut. Sometimes it sounds weird, but it's true. Your spirit within you is going to sometimes alarm you if it's somebody you're not supposed to work with. And I've often ignored that. I shouldn't say often, but I have ignored that in the past, and it's gotten me into trouble. It's got me miserable because it's a client that I just dread working with, and I end up being miserable. So just remember those when you go into that. Be strong, be fierce, and remember that you are worth it and your team is worth it. And that's the other thing. I fight for my team because they're so important to me. I have to be able to pay them, a fair rate. So then when you're talking about closing that deal finally, the biggest thing I can say is follow up, follow up, follow up. Did I say follow up? Truly, most people let it go. You might get that call or that email or whatever, and you've talked to them for a period of time, and then suddenly it goes cold. Well, what's wrong with sending an email once in a while? I'm not saying chasing them. I'm just saying, checking in, how you doing, blah, 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 continuing to build that relationship, because maybe they're just not ready yet. But when they are, they might come back. So follow up, whether it's through email, calls, whatever means you do that with. Put them on your email marketing list so they're getting a newsletter, and they're going to continue to see your name in front of them, on a regular basis. And that's important. And the other thing is give good freebies away on your site. So attract clients with that, but also with the closing deals, send them another freebie maybe of something that you have, a list or a to-do sheet or something, and like in my new members, listen to me. In my new client packet, I have like a priority to-do list for them that they can use and either send to me or keep for themselves. So give them value not only in what they've already seen through the freebie on the site or whatever else, but also even once you're starting the contract, and I'll be willing to be a little flexible in it in the beginning. So they see that you are willing to work with them, that you're willing, as hard as you were on the rate, you're still willing to work and be flexible with them in the tasks and the things that you're doing. The other thing I would say, if it's under 3 months, a phone call is okay. Now, if it's been a year, that seems a little silly, stay in touch by email. But if it's under 3 months, I would say a phone call is okay. Just to pick up the phone and say, was thinking about you, wondered how your business was doing, blah, 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 and continue to build the relationship. And as I said, make sure they're on that email marketing list because it keeps you on the top of their mind. And then when that need arises, you're going to be the one they call. And then the other thing that I found very interesting last year, I didn't do this year, but as much, but when I had several on the line last year when I was going into the new year, and I thought, this is ridiculous. I mean, because it had drug on for months already. And I just thought, I just need to know, are they moving forward or aren't they moving forward? And I had to raise some rates anyway. So basically what I did was I just notified them, and it wasn't to trick them because I'm a woman of integrity, honestly. It was just that my rates were literally increasing. And that contract that I sent them was not going to be good either. So I made sure that they were aware of my rate increase. But if they got it in by the year end, they could still take, the rate that I had quoted them. But if they waited, the rate was going to increase. And that showed me two things. It showed me the ones that were really interested and the ones who really weren't, because it weeded it out. So I had a couple that was like jumped, yeah, I want to do it. And then I had some that said, kind of. And I said, okay, that's fine. But at least now I know moving into the new year. And so I did that last year. It was very interesting to me to see that, how people reacted in regard to the prospects I had, because I bet I had 3, 4 contracts out that hadn't come back. And I think I ended up signing 2 or 3 of those because, just finally saying, hey, this is what's happening. So if you want to take advantage of that, and sometimes I will even on my site put, like I did an end of the year thing for my social media. I included extra platform and something else with it. I forget now, but if they signed up before the end of the year. So, there's things like that you can do that don't affect necessarily the bottom line, but that they're things that are of value for your prospective client, and they see that and they want to be a part of that. So, and don't just arbitrarily increase your rate to try and get clients like that. That's not the lesson here. I'm just saying, though, that it was very interesting to me. And I would also say for a long time on my proposals and even sometimes on my contracts, I did not put like this rate is in effect until, and so theoretically, I guess they could have come back and said, well, this is, so make sure you put those end dates on there too, that this rate is in effect until, and only give like 30 to 60 days, don't let it be a year from now or 3 months.
Yeah. I did the same thing, and I put as an asterisk at the bottom, I say this quote is good for 30 days as of date of receipt, which I had
Right.
date of receipt in the email,
Right.
email to them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very important point. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yes. And I mean, you learn these things sometimes the hard ways. You just do. But at the same time, it's good to be proactive with these too, because you want to know it. I kind of joke because I tell God that I want to learn from scripture and not experience. And somehow I still get the lessons. And it's the same with business, you want to learn it from others if you can, so you don't have to go through the hardship of the lesson. So do take advantage of, things like this that we're doing and other business owners are doing to help teach those of you who are really, in that place of growth and wanting to start your teams and to really get your business going. So that's kind of a all around encompassing how to attract clients, to get through the negotiation, and then close the deal. And even, with closing that deal, ask them, is there something that's keeping you from going ahead and signing that contract? What is it? And if it's a simple thing, that you can help them with, great. If it's that they just don't have the money, then that as well. And you don't have to be anticipating it any longer either. So, those are important factors because sometimes we keep a spot open. And that is the other thing I've done too. I will say that I have also told prospective clients when they've had a proposal for a while, I will tell them, I've been keeping a spot open for you, assuming you're coming on. But if you're not, I need to know because I have other people wanting to come on. And it's true. I'm not making that up and I'm not telling you to make it up. I'm just saying, though, sometimes we have limited opportunities that we can serve a certain number of people. And we need to know whether or not, if you're holding that spot and they're not paying right now, you need to know so that you can bring another client on instead. So, there's a lot of ways to get yourself out there. Find the ways that work for you. We're not saying go out and put your name on every social media and do every social media ad and do every directory and all of that. No, we're not saying that. We're saying find the ways that work best for you. What are the ways that you really excel at? And then use those to your advantage. Use a couple of the different ways we discussed. And if you're really good at videos, create videos. If you're really good at doing social media, show that you're really good at doing that. And people will notice you. They will. And, in any of those areas, they're going to begin to notice you. Also, joining Facebook groups for your target market. Maybe you said that, Lisa, but joining Facebook groups that are your target market just to say and help, not be salesy, as you talked about in in the tweet deck and all of that. So just put yourself out there, but in the ways that you're comfortable with and that show your confidence and show your boldness to be able to reach clients that you want to reach. And then negotiate by standing strong and firm in what you already know should be your rates. And, and continue to reiterate your strengths as well as your years of experience. And then follow up, follow up, follow up. Put them on your email list and make sure, there's some ways that you can, just by saying, I'm holding that spot or our rates are going up. If that's the case, don't fake it in this case, but be real, be honest, and have integrity, because I would tell you integrity is a huge word for 2018. Seen it everywhere this year, and I love it because I know, Lisa, you and I have been in the net women of integrity for a long time. And that I was even told by a former client that I would never succeed in business because I believed in being honest and not lying to people. And of course, that was a client that I ended up firing. One of those ones that we talk about. And now look, so, it's just, but believe in yourself and believe me, people will be attracted to that, won't they, Lisa?
They certainly will. They certainly will. Yeah, I was told years ago when I was a realtor that I wouldn't make a whole lot of money because I was too ethical. Yeah. So it's funny how people think sometimes, but when the food and someone genuinely needs your assistance, especially when you're working virtually, that integrity is going to speak for itself. Trust, knowing that you're working with a professional that you believe in. I mean, I had a strategy call this morning with an existing client, and she said, if I didn't trust you, I wouldn't be working with you.
Mm-hmm.
And that just spoke volumes. I mean, you know that, but when a client actually verbalizes that to you,
Mm-hmm.
then you know you're on the right track.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And yeah, and it's amazing. Clients don't realize how much that means to us, but it's true. It is true. And I think, for 2018, be sure of who you are, what your business is about, why you're doing it, and stand confident in it and move forward. And then you will begin attracting clients because they'll be like magnets to you as well. It's amazing to me as I've grown in the business. There were many years that I struggled to find clients. And then suddenly, a few years ago, it's like clients are finding me everywhere, and ask also when prospects call you, ask them how they found out about you or when they email you.
Every time.
Yeah, because, they may be at your site, but it doesn't mean they found you through a search. They might have found you another way.
Oh,
And
let me tell you a weird one. I picked up a client. She contacted me through my website 2, 3 months ago. She saw in a thread in a particular group, Facebook group, she saw my business name mentioned by a now former client. And so she researched and reached out to me. Come to find out, that thread, that comment was made about 4 years ago, but it hit her eyes. She went on to refer someone else to me, and now I'm working with both of them. And what I like too is that one is in Illinois and the other is in Florida. And I have a goal of reaching 6 new national clients this year. I like working across the United States. I have local clients. I have some nearby, but not really, kind of local, but not. But I like, if you see the United States on the back wall there, I have pins for everywhere we've worked with clients. And I don't necessarily want that filled up, but I want a pin in every state.
Absolutely.
That's my goal.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have clients in Canada. I have clients all over. I've had them in Texas, Ohio. I mean, just everywhere. I mean, I have them in North Carolina right now. I mean, just, yeah, all over the country. So, yeah, and I have team members all over too. So, yeah, so it works both ways. But yeah, I love it. And I love the fact that we do work virtually, and it's so easy now to be able to work those ways. It really is. So it's amazing to me the ways we get clients. 4 years ago, that thread was, and yeah, I'll ask clients all the time, and that's another important thing is on your site, make sure your SEO is good. And if you don't know how to do that, find somebody who does, because you want to be sure that when they're putting in those keywords that they're looking for, that you're going to show up in that. So just make sure you have those words on your site as well, the keywords and the long tail keywords and all of those things. Do some research if you can't afford it, and do it yourself. So that's kind of the end of our day as far with you, I should say, with you. But we so enjoy that you watch us. And even if you're watching us later, we appreciate if you put comments, tell us what you're looking for and subjects that you want to see too, because we would love to bring the subjects you want to hear about to you. And we miss our partner Nanette today, and hope all is well with her. And we just really appreciate everybody watching. Again, this is VA to VA Mastermind Live, and we are working on that course for you. So keep a watch out for that. Lisa, any last comments?
We will see you next month.
That's right. Bye, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.